last year the Niners kind of didn't have a great offseason free agency wise. They had a really good draft. And then they, instead of going for like one for sure free agent, they said, well, we don't have that kind of money. Let's spread it around because we need more multiple needs. And so they brought in Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott and Leonard Floyd and others, Devondre Campbell. We know how that worked out. We'll talk about him later on, or not. But they didn't have 2 years ago. They had, okay, we're going to go all in on one big free agent. And they went after Javon Hargrave, and I think it was kind of a bomb. The year before that, they said, we're going to go all in on one free agent. And they went for Mooney Ward, and they landed a top guy. So this offseason, they've had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to have their skull sessions and their meetings and plan out their offseason. And I know people around the team, and I know people who cover the team, that believe that the 49ers are going to make a big, unplanned for splash of some kind this spring, either in the draft or via trade or in free agency. And I thought we could, talk about that a little bit. I mean, do you see, what do you see as potential splash moves that we're maybe not talking about? We talked a lot about, hey, can they get Max Crosby? Hey, can they get Myles Garrett? Outside of those, guys, do you see a move out there that we're not necessarily maybe anticipating, that you said, you know what, the more I think about it, I could see that makes sense. The Niners could make this big splash. What do you think? Is there anybody out there that comes to mind?
Man, if I want to go real crazy and swing for the fences, there's an opportunity to get who my vote for Defensive Player of the Year this past season would have been. Yeah, you saw him in the Super Bowl. Off the ball linebacker is a big need for the 49ers, and we saw what happened. I know everybody wants Dre Greenlaw back. I want Dre Greenlaw back as well. But what if you go get somebody like Zach Bond? I'm not saying the 49ers will, but I'm telling you, that was my vote for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't have a vote, Larry. You know this. But if I did, that would have been my guy. Absolutely unbelievable what he has done. Vic Fangio turned that dude, and he's going to get 16 to 18 million a year. Now, whenever you say 16 to 18 million a year, that's a lot, but off-ball linebacker is so depreciated. Why not pair him up with Fred Warner? You look at what Robert Saleh did with the Jets. He had two of the best linebackers in the NFL back to back next to each other. I mean, he just did such a damn good job. So that's one where I'm like, I doubt they do it, but man, the Devondre Campbell, but just whatever grossness that is, and he's still talking on social media, but whatever. Like, go get somebody that could be that guy, and you've got your 1-2 punch, turnovers galore. I would be very happy with that.
Okay, I like that. And that is an unanticipated splash. I'll give you a couple names from that exact same game. What do you think of trying going to the well one more time for an Eagle defensive tackle in Milton Williams? He's coming into his own. He had a couple sacks in that game, I believe. He's a really, really high motor, excellent athlete, interior rusher. Think of a better version of Kentavious Street, faster, strong, not as strong maybe, but maybe faster and definitely a better pass rusher. Milton Williams, and I'll give you one more from that same game that it's not even my idea. I saw somebody else write this. I think it was on Niners Nation. Kyle Posey had this one. You know Kyle Posey, right?
Great guy.
He had. Let me see if I can find. He had Nick Bolton. Somebody wrote Nick Bolton, the Chiefs linebacker, as a potential 49er get in free agency. What do you think of the possibility of adding somebody like that? I mean, Nick Bolton can run like the wind. He's incredibly fast. He's a little short. Chiefs are going to have some cap issues probably. Yeah, so the negotiating window is less than a month away, and the cap went up more than 25. It was supposed to go up 20 million. It's going to go up closer to 30 million. And one of the Pro Football Network had an article about this, who's matching, potential guys to each team. And they have the Niners with Nick Bolton. And the commentary says the 49ers are coming off a tough season, but they're in a relatively good position regarding their roster as a whole. The main positions they need to address are O-line, D-line, and linebacker. It's intriguing to put a player like Nick Bolton next to Fred Warner. Bolton was the centerpiece of the Chiefs' defense and has a chance to be Warner's longtime partner in the center of the Niner defense. The Niners have put a high importance on the position before. He could be the next evolution of that. He's got 300 tackle seasons in his first 4 years. He's a really underrated delayed blitzer, versatile piece. He says it may feel like a luxury for the Niners, but he can get after the passer or drop into coverage. And the thought of Warner and Bolton together in a defense will be terrifying for opposing defenses. John, the guy doesn't turn 25 until March, so he's a young man for sure. So he only missed one game last year, and it was week 18 when the Chiefs didn't play their starters. So he really doesn't miss time. Though in 2023, he did miss over half the year with a wrist injury, but for the most part, he's been healthy. Former second-round pick, super fast. What do you think of Milton Williams or the possibility of Nick Bolton?
Yeah, probably my favorite thing about both of them is the youth. They're both 24 years old currently. You go back to Javon Hargrave. He was 29 when you brought him over. There's a big difference there. And so what I really enjoy about Nick Bolton is I remember scouting him in college. Like, he was the most Fred Warner off-ball linebacker that we've seen since Fred Warner. So he fits the Niners scheme. Now he's coming off his worst year. You could argue probably the last 2 years are his worst 2 years. As a rookie in his second year, it looked like this guy was going to be an all-pro through and through. Took some setbacks with the wrist injury, like you said, but he's going to be a lot cheaper option than a Zach, Bond. I think you could probably get, Nick Bolton for that $8 to $10 million range a year, which is about what Drake Greenlaw is going to get, but you don't have the injury concerns, whatever else. Again, I'm going Greenlaw, but we're playing the game. What are we going to do in free agency? So Nick Bolton fits 100% with what we do. Now, Milton Williams, that is a bigger need for the 49ers. And I understand, well, Javon Hargrave didn't work out. Why would we go back? Milton Williams is a completely different player. Like he's been a rotational piece, and you're going to pay rotational piece values. You paid top of the market for an aging vet in Javon Hargrave that did not pan out. You're getting a guy 5 years prior to where you would have signed Javon Hargrave at a fraction of the cost. He's not getting $20 million a year. He's going to get close to that 12 to 15, which still you're paying him to be a starter, but I think that he can do that. He's an all-around defensive tackle that if you talk to any Philly content creator, fan, whatever, Milton Williams is beloved by all. He just was one of those glue pieces that fits, that is ready for a full-time starter role. I would be very, very happy. The Niners would worst position group for the 49ers, defensive tackle currently. You need to address that in the draft and free agency. Milton Williams gets you closer to that.